Welcome back to Painting and Decorating, part 2, the big job. Going alright so far, so I'll show you what I'm doing today. So it's Saturday today, I'm only here for a couple of hours, but what I want to get done is the foam along this wall so it's curing. So what I've done, I've just knocked a little bit of plaster out here, some big gaps around here, letting cold air in. There's one all the way underneath there. I've also cut out round the skirting them, and that was just cork. It's still half damp, useless. So I'm going to backfill that with foam, and then Monday gets cut back, filled, wall insulated. Look over here again, cut back a little bit. Check the plaster, brick, bone dry the brick is, nothing wrong with it at all. So it's just condensation sitting on the plaster. There's no breathing going on whatsoever, as in people go on about lime plaster breathing, but a bit of a joke really. Solid brick, doesn't breathe. Cement, so whatever they go on about, a load of rubbish. So foam across there. That's the old noggins, what they're actually skirting is attached to, piece of wood into the brick. You sometimes get drafts coming between them as well, and then they're nailed into that piece of wood. Again, big hole around the back there, loads of cold air coming in. I mean, that goes all the way up, just hollow, but I'm going to just leave it there, foam this bit, and then when the insulation paper goes on, it'll be sound. Alright, get that foamed up. Monday morning, and that foam's cured over the weekend. So today's job, cut the foam back, get the filling done on that. But first off, I'm just going to finish this filling on the ceiling. It's dried off quite well. I've done most of it. There's generally the centre left. Finish that first, get that done, and then we're on with the good stuff of putting some insulation paper on and lining the ceiling. We're nearly ready to actually put some insulation lining paper up. That's what that is. It's good stuff. You can have a look at it when it's on the bench. Right, so job so far, doing really well. A lot of it's been sanded down, and I've actually put a coat of diluted PVA on certain areas. So I've just got this little bit to do at the bottom round to give it a light sand down and diluted PVA on that. What I need to do is get this up today, because it's got to dry, and that wall is getting lined with lining paper over the top of that. So get that on first, and while that's drying I can continue with sanding and PVA stuff, doing really well. And then it's on with the lining paper. That's me bench set up. Some of the stuff I'm using, brushing a roller to apply the paste straight to the wall. Some of the paste I'm using, ready mixed strong stuff that you need for this. Paper hanging brush, scissors, a blade, tape measure, pencil, plumb line. The top one is going on horizontally, and then the others are going on vertically, and then the lining paper goes on that way. It doesn't matter too much with the top one, both can go that way. Right, so just crack on with the top bit. measure the length, you cut it, paste the wall, and then stick it up and trim off. That's the first piece up now. Just trimming off around the bottom. I didn't do a cut on the top, I followed the coving because I've done that good. While trimming it off, it's not easy stuff to use this at all. It's an absolute nightmare, to be honest. You know, it just cracks, and once it cracks, it's horrible. Anyway, you have to just do your best with it, because it's the insulation property you're after. The thermal liner is a bit better to use than this one, but this is cheaper and does a good job. I've trimmed it like that to make it easier, so I'm just going to trim that off with my knife. And I'm on with this bit. It's going good. Let's give you a quick look at that one. Finally, I'm ready to put some lining paper on the ceiling. So I've actually released the ceiling rose to make it easier to go around that. That wall's got the insulation on now. So next job, I've struck a line. You can see that on the ceiling there. That's my string to make sure my first piece of lining is nice and straight, and then I can trim off to the coving. So measure your length, paste your length, let it soak. And remember, it's a special fold when you're papering ceilings. We do have videos on how to paper ceilings, so I'll leave a link. That's the lining paper. First two pieces up. Going okay. Right, I managed to get the ceiling lined yesterday. It's not come up too bad. I mean, it's not had any emulsion on it yet, and it's not had a little fine fill over. I mean, it's like I said to my customer, there's going to be lumps and bumps, but there can be on a lot of ceilings. But once I've given that a coat of emulsion, I can look at any worst bits and just give it a little fill and then a second coat of emulsion, and trust me, you won't see hardly any of it because it's like snow blind. Once it's all white, you won't notice much. So today, a bit of filling on that wall around the insulation paper, because sometimes you're left with a bit of a deep edge. And the only way around it is to fill it before you put the other lining on. Some of the joints need a little bit of filler, just so when the lining goes on it looks better. So again, bit of filling today, and then try and get the frieze lined, and then try and get the walls lined. But yeah, it's looking good, and it's coming on. It's picking up pace now. That's the first piece of lining paper on the frieze. So it's coming together. So I did really well yesterday. Managed to get all the frieze. Well, I did all the filling, and then managed to get the frieze lined. It's looking really good at the minute now. So I've just sanded the walls, what's left, and I'm about to give them a coat of diluted PVA. I'll just show you this one. So bucket, some water, and dilute it. Milky water, that's what you want. It's got to soak into the plaster to seal it. That was one of the walls I lined yesterday, one of the recesses in the chimney breast. So the walls are sealed now. I've got my scaffold set up to put the first piece on that wall. So spirit level, measure your paper, make sure you've got an overlap, spirit level across, then you cut off along the top, because usually that's wonky. So if you follow that, it's going to be all shapes, just makes life harder. So keep your line nice and vertical, sorry, horizontal. Hey. First piece. Now I'll show you the job once the lining's up. Doing really well now, just need to crack on. Well, that's it for today, and that's it for this video, part 2 of the big job. So there is going to be a part 3, and that's going to be all the painting. So I'll give you a quick look round of what it looks like now, and then I'll see you in the next video. Chimney breast, which I just finished with. You always deal with the front first and then finish with the ends, and when it comes round, don't try and keep it straight, you just got to let it flow. So that'll get a bit of filler in it. The rest have done pretty well. It's got to dry out, so all this will disappear, bits of paste. Yeah, a lot of work, but it's looking good. Big difference. Gonna leave my dehumidifier on, dry it all out. Right, home time.